Issa? Yes. Issa Galloway.
Issa Galloway defines the mission.
Welcome to Ramadan Recap, where I break down the most impactful stories of the day so you don't have to. Jumping straight into it. Yesterday morning in Germany, there was a crazy and tragic attack. 2 people are dead. But the internet and the haters online just went buck wild trying to affiliate this with Islam and Muslims. So you need to understand, we live in a pressure cooker environment with a whole lot of hate directed at our community. The thing is, there's a serious plot twist here because I knew something was up as soon as reputable news sources started to talk about psychological problems or mental health. I couldn't get this meme out of my mind. I keep thinking that Family Guy image, it's got so much mileage under it. At some point, we're going to learn, right? But no, here's the guy. He is a 40-year-old German citizen, but there was a Muslim involved, and this is the crazy plot twist. A brother named Afzal Muhammad, a taxi driver, followed the attacker and helped stop him so that the police could apprehend him. Now, again, why is this so important for the Muslim community? It's not only the hate aspect, but also, like I've said in videos repeatedly, we can't jump to conclusions when the facts aren't out and early in an investigation. These fools online who haven't even taken their tweets down, who are trying to spread anti-Muslim hate against our community in the West, in Europe, and in North America, they're losing all credibility with us, but with their audience, it's still a pressure cooker and people still have this narrative. Moving to the next story, it's more media manipulation, but this time from the master, President Trump himself. He was promoting the State of the Union, which is happening this evening. Please don't watch it. I will recap it for you. But he says, I will tell it like it is. And tomorrow night will be big. So what you need to know is he's probably going to make excuses for why the economy is crashing, why the stock market is crashing, and put blame onto something. We will see what he says, and you can look forward to tomorrow's episode for a recap. But even more media manipulation from this administration. This is Elon Musk. He appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast a few days ago, and he basically announced that the administration is coming for your Social Security. Yes, that's right. Guys, buckle up your money because he said that Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. And he made what would sound like a convincing argument if you didn't know anything about anything. What he neglected in his argument was to say the solution for lack of funding or underfunding for the future obligations of Social Security is to slightly increase the amount that the top 2% put in. I wonder why he wouldn't want to bring attention to that. Now, this one is gaslighting of the highest order, and this came out just yesterday. So first off, it is a Ramadan greeting from the president. He's a few days late, which also is sus. He didn't do it on video. You know he loves to command headlines. So this easily was a statement written by staff. He probably didn't even know the statement was made or was aware of it and just said put something out. And here is the part that I think is insidious because it'll make you feel one way, but when you really break it down, it's probably doing the opposite. And that is my administration recommits to upholding religious liberty that is such an integral part of the American way of life. Now, what's the problem here? First off, his administration is chock full of Christian nationalists that I'm going to demonstrate in a moment. Number two, when he says recommits to upholding religious liberty, Christian nationalists' whole argument is Christian freedom under the law means that we get to treat other people, non-Christians, worse and differently. And that is a fact. We're about to see the Christian nationalists that are being appointed into crucial positions we haven't covered on this channel before. But the other part is when he says it's an integral part of the American way of life, all the Christian nationalists also say that Christian nationalism helped found America. So this is straight in line with their argument, even though it sounds nice, like it's going to protect minority faith groups. Now, here is the first example. Do you remember Elise Stefanik? She was the congresswoman who berated the Ivy League university presidents for allowing anti-genocide protests on their campuses. Well, she writes in response to a truth from President Trump, which reads, all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks, in shouting. Now, the thing with this statement here is, first off, how would a private educational institution have to permanently expel a student from a government edict? It's a private institution. I mean, for funding, yeah, I could see that. But more concerningly, what Stefanik says here is, under President Trump, Colleges and universities will be held accountable. Anti-Semitism and anti-Israel hate, again, she's conflating two different things, will not be tolerated on American campuses. Promises made, promises kept. So, how is that about religious liberty or the First Amendment, which is where religious liberty comes from again? I don't get it. And more abuse of power and more corruption. Breaking. Head of FBI's New York office is forced out after questioning President Trump's pursuit of agents who investigated January 6 cases. Guys, this case is incredibly important, and let me tell you why. NBC News is reporting that in an email to the FBI staff members in New York on Monday, James Dehaney is pictured here, confirmed that he had been ordered to leave. He wrote, "Late Friday, I was informed that I needed to put in my retirement papers today, which I just did. I was not given a reason for this decision." Two sources said that Dehaney was given a choice to resign or be fired. Again, Trump's cleaning house, only wants loyalists, and this is major news because the FBI in both does two things. One, investigates terrorism, and two, it responds to uh, hate crimes, especially when they are cross-border or national incidents. Now, the White House has done something else that's even more alarming, and this proves the Christian nationalist part that I was trying to get to. He established the White House Faith Office. Now, that's not the concerning part. That's been happening for a long time. Previous administrations call it something else. I think the name change just reflects a slightly different focus in the work, but none of that's anti-constitutional. What is concerning to the Muslim community is who he's appointed to this three-person office. Pastor Paula White-Cain, she is a out-and-out Zionist due to end times theology, thinking that Israel needs to control the Temple Mount, where Masjid Aqsa is currently, and that will be how they bring in the end times or revelation from the Bible. Jennifer Korn, not such a big issue here because she happens to just be a long time going back to the Bush administration, political activist in Latin circles, and a faith person. I just thought this was interesting because she will no longer have the opportunity to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month under President Trump. Now, the real person that we should be thinking about is Jackson Lane. Jackson Lane is this young man right here, and he was just appointed to be the Deputy Director of Faith and Engagement in the White House. Now, the issue with him is he is very clearly a Christian nationalist. During his college years, he's done a ton of work on campaigns, so very politically involved. And then, even more importantly here, his father is David Lane of the American Renewal Project. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center has labeled him an extremist, and he used to also receive funds from the American Family Association, which the Southern Poverty Law Center calls a hate group, and made it its mission to literally inspire the American church to embrace its role in the public square, breathing life into the highest expression of community and civic duty. Now, just to be clear, so there's no doubt that this person is a Christian nationalist, every church in America having a pastor, elder, deacon, or congregant running for or serving in a local, state, or national office in 2026 through 2030 and beyond, church members are motivated en masse to turn out and vote for members of their congregations. Now, next story is how are Democrats responding to all this? Well, from a Democrat retreat with consultants, campaign staffers, and elected officials and party leaders, they came up with this, which is pretty insane. The party should embrace patriotism. Now, that I agree with. I think Americans need a common sense of what it is to be an American these days. Embrace community and traditional American imagery. I'm not sure what that part is. It sounds very exclusive and probably not working well with certain minority communities. Democrats should ban far left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests. So here what they're doing is just doubling and tripling down on blaming the left wing. But here's the part that is so insane. I'd highlight it, but this is an image. Move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate. What? Let me say this again. Move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate. Small dollar donors are the broader electorate, numbskull. And then they just keep on going with these ridiculous suggestions. Get out of elite circles and into real communities. That actually I agree with. But then what they look at, they say tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants, and churches. So Democrats are doubling down on trying to be Republican light. And then here, the party needs to own the failures of democratic governments in large cities and commit to improving local government. So first off, they're going to say, yeah, we're terrible. We're not Republicans, but we're going to be better. We're going to be Republican light. That is a losing formula, y'all. What they need to do is get into real populism from a centrist perspective, which would mean to me unmeans tested universal programs that uplift the working poor and preserve what's left of the middle class. Next story. Now, guys, this one you guys all know, you've all seen it. The Oscar award winning No Other Land, a documentary on Israel, Palestine, on the West Bank in particular, and the violence and the brutality that the IDF and settlers have been doing to one gentleman's family in particular. And the beautiful thing about this was it was a dual project, including an Israeli and a Palestinian producer together. I am including Channel 4 here because you can stream it there. And the reason that this is such a big deal and why you should care is even though this is an Oscar award winning um, documentary, it's not streamed anywhere in the US. So the link in my description is a place that you can watch it. Now, I have a lot to say about this, but I first think that if it wasn't for Mohammed Amr, and his Netflix series, which I will also link to, I don't think this documentary would have gotten as far as it did. And the beautiful thing about Muhammad Amar's documentary about the show Mo, not the documentary, the show Mo, is that he didn't need to have any Israeli voices to have the success that he was having. It's been in the top 10 of Netflix shows. It is spectacular, but trust me, don't stream it during Ramadan. Wait till the month's over. It's a little spicy on the content. Now, giving my flowers to Mo is important because, again, I think he set the stage. It came before this Oscar nomination or award, and it was pioneering in telling human stories about Palestinians. The other thing, though, is there is a really great piece by Mary Torfa, and it's retweeted here by Sana Saeed, and it really makes the point on why did it need an Israeli voice in order to legitimize the story so that the documentary could be recognized. So I'll leave that in the show notes as well in the description. I want to get back into this story and the issue of identity as we close out today. I'm perplexed by how many negative reactions I saw from the acceptance speech. And none of the ones I saw were from the Palestinians' perspective or portion of that speech, but the Israelis' perspective. Guys, first off, we have to meet the public where they are. I've said on this channel a number of times that communication is an act of surrender. Not only that, but why give people a reason to write you off? You have to remember that your audiences have different levels of education on any particular subject. But on this topic, Israel Palestine, they've been consuming pro Israeli propaganda for the bulk, if not their entire lives. And they've been taught that the Israeli and the American identity are intertwined. So, starting off with rejecting the Israeli person who's supporting ceasefire, who is literally calling out U.S. foreign policy as part of the problem, and seems to imply that he prefers a one state solution with equal rights for everyone. Why would you be against that? I understand the issues in the posts that I just said. I read it, they're fantastic and they're excellent reading and things people should get to know. But take the win. The win is people getting their eyes opened to two very, very important things. First, some history is exposed. So no one can no longer say that everything started on October 7th or the most relevant thing was that attack. Because this documentary, it's not even dealing with Gaza, it's dealing with the West Bank, and it goes back years and years. Then you have a Jewish Israeli supporting the effort. This destroys the narrative that is anti Semitic to criticize Israel. So, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I hope this recap has been beneficial, and I'll see you tomorrow.